Oh, hey, smile, you're on camera. Last time we saw a saboteur who'll turn out to be a young Robert Duvall sneak into the tunnel room, kill an expendable extra in a white lab coat who was operating the system, and plant something in the equipment. The technician fell on the controls and the tunnel is doing something very bad to Doug and Tony.
We're getting an oscillation effect. It's tearing the boys to pieces. Try to stabilize.
I'm trying to. I just can't seem to.
Let me try it. Stabilized.
Oh, for heaven's sake, move aside and let a man do it. Sorry, but that's what I got from that scene. For the first half of the show's run, Anne was an equal member of the team, just as strong and capable as anybody else there. But starting with the French Revolution episode when she couldn't watch Marie Antoinette's beheading, she lost a lot of that. She's easily flustered, panics a lot, and has a tendency to cry. And now Ray has to bail her out with the equipment. We keep pushing her more and more into the "you're just a woman" corner and accepting it. The women's movement was in its initial stages and just starting to gather a little steam, so a move like this wasn't exactly in keeping with the times. I don't know if it hurt ratings or not, but if it didn't, it should have. At least a tad, just enough to get someone's attention. Suddenly our saboteur appears. The guards chase him around, only shooting after he's ducked behind something instead of when he's standing up and they might accidentally, hit him, until he comes back to the tunnel and grabs Ray.
Don't! You'll lose Doug and Tony!
The way their equipment has worked in the past, it shouldn't be too hard to check where he went and bring him back almost immediately. But today, our machinery doesn't work like that. We have to try and scan for him. For all of them. For anybody.
Ray, this notation. It must have been made by Dr. Stiles.
Well, this gives us a time and location fix on Tony and Doug.
As well as on the killer. Look. The tunnel controls were fixed when he entered the tunnel.
Then shouldn't all the coordinates you need be right there on the panel? This isn't making sense. But using those coordinates, Anne locates the whole bunch of them.
They're near Grand Canyon, Arizona. Time period 1547.
There's a good chance that Neiman is in the same period and location.
You suppose we can get through? Tell them about Neiman?
We can try, General.
They learn that the killer's name is Raoul Neiman, apparently a sleeper agent of some kind. He's been there for over a year, and his security check was perfect, except for the microfilm and coded instructions they just found in his quarters.
Ray, we have to evacuate the complex.
Evacuate?
According to this, Neiman was to have hidden a small nuclear device somewhere in the complex. His orders were to destroy the tunnel after completing his espionage.
A small nuclear device. Hold on, show me the thing he planted.
Control! They're killing us! You're killing us!
He has a nuclear bomb the size of a big fuse. I've talked about this before in other shows, but it bears repeating. In the 60s, atomic power was magic. Those of us who had done some reading and understood how nuclear power and nuclear weapons work were very few. To the average person, you could stick a block of uranium in a box and it would generate electricity. If you made it generate too much, you had an atomic bomb. That's why you could even make one the size of a walnut like Neiman did. I do wonder what his exit strategy was, and if his plan included landing in the middle of nowhere in the 16th century. Speaking of which, General Kirk wants to evacuate the complex, but Anne and Ray are refusing to abandon Doug and Tony.
Don't you see, our only hope is for Doug and Tony to find Neiman and get him to tell where he hid the bomb.
The General says, what about all these people? Ray says, ask them what they want to do. He lays it out for all the extras, and nobody's leaving.
Well, there it is.
We can make voice contact, so let's fill the boys in.
Doug, Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, General, we hear you.
Last time we had to wheel in a special piece of machinery to talk to him. Today the microphone is pre-installed on the console, which is how it was the time before last. The last couple of times they could only come up with enough power for a second or two. Today he holds a 45-second conversation with them while he fills them in on everything and tells them what they need to do. Remember what I said last time about throwing our rules out the window? Yeah, that. I also said I hoped it was a glitch. I'm beginning to lose hope. Doug and Tony build a small fire to draw Neiman out. That fire looks pretty suspicious. You better shoot it first and ask questions later.
We're slipping out of phase. I can't hold Neiman in that time period.
And they bump kiss. Then, since it's 1967, they both step back and go. Ann has a fix on Neiman, and since power hasn't been an issue for some time now, they switch Doug and Tony to the same place and time.
Stand where you are.
I thought those guys exploded in 1888.
Any luck?
Not since we lifted them out of the 16th century.
Any idea where they landed?
Well, our fix was on Neiman. We advanced him in time, but I have no idea how far.
Your fix didn't tell you when and where he was? What did it tell you? We are watching a total breakdown of all the rules, pseudoscience, the entire world we've built over the past 20 episodes or so. If they had a fix on Neiman, they had at least some idea when and where he was. They said they could switch Doug and Tony to that same time and place, but now they're saying, oh, right, we threw him into the future somewhere, but we weren't exactly aiming. Did anybody read this script before they filmed it?
It is part of our city.
It looks like an enormous beehive.
It is. We'll learn that there are workers, soldiers, and the masters. They explain where they're from, and he says, you've arrived at the most glorious era of human history. You'll be given appropriate work and quarters. I wonder how he'll determine what's appropriate work for them.
Who are you?
I am worker Z24A19.
What's this?
Food for two for the 8-day work periods.
You expected steak dinner? Look around you, gentlemen. Everything is built on efficiency. Efficiency to do what? You're not high enough on the corporate ladder to find out. Just be satisfied that it's the most glorious era in human history.
Have you ever seen anyone that looked different? Someone like us?
One like you, dressed like you, has been among us for many years.
Years? That can't be Neiman.
Maybe we've gone through a time warp. Where is this man?
I am forbidden to speak about him.
She can't tell them anymore. She's just a worker bee.
Come. The master has summoned you.
Take a wild guess who else is there.
You're familiar with these components.
Yes, we've used this type of equipment before.
So Master Worker Neiman informed me. Our good Neiman feels he's overworked.
Your good Neiman is a murderer.
We are not concerned about crimes committed in other times and other places.
Of course you aren't. This is the most glorious era in human history. Things like compassion are inefficient. They've been bred out.
You will reconcile your differences with Master Neiman and give him assistance.
Doug refuses, and they both get zapped with some kind of special effect.
Will they die, Magister? They've suffered pain, but they're not damaged.
I wonder how much further up the ladder Neiman has to go before he gets the silver face paint. Their worker brings in some kind of thing to help ease their pain. Neiman has been here for 10 years. The masters really like him because he's building a time machine for them.
Why do the masters want a time machine?
It is important to them.
Why is it important?
It is necessary to spread the glory of our civilization throughout all time and bring new power to the masters.
You knew conquest was going to have something to do with it. That's most always what humans mean when they talk about something being glorious. And they're crazy. If they try to do that, their glorious civilization will cease to exist because it's precisely the timeline that currently exists that brought them to where they are. If they go back to the 16th century and impose their glorious hive mentality on the planet, they could find their own timeline has changed to a post-apocalyptic wasteland. or a society that abandoned the land, returned to the water, and has gills now, so the moment they get to the land in the 16th century, their bodies alter and they suffocate. Neiman appears briefly and tells them they're 1,000,000 years in the future, and his time machine is the only way any of them can get back to where they belong. He says, "I'm sure the time tunnel was destroyed because there was no time to find the bomb." But it sounds as though that far down the line, there aren't any surviving historical records to verify it, so our boys will continue to hold out hope.
I've tried everything. I can't locate them.
However futile it may seem at the moment. The problem is she's only scanning within a 1,000-year radius. Ray says, expand the search to infinity, no limit. He has to bail her out again. This is getting annoying.
Changed your minds and decided to work with me.
Only because we have to.
You're very sensible. Now, as you can see, we will soon have our own time tunnel.
That capsule behind them looks like the same one the Russian time tunnel was using. We know it didn't work, and we even learned why. Neiman was there long enough. Shouldn't he know that? He's using workers to test it since animals have been extinct since who knows when. As it happens, he's decided to use their worker.
If they're so advanced, how is it they haven't developed time travel by now?
In 1,000,000 years, 1,000 civilizations can rise and fall. Time travel was a lost art to them.
In other words, they forgot how. So he's teaching them to do it again, using mid-20th century technology. They have ray guns, force fields, and motion detectors, and vacuum tubes, magnetic tapes, and transistors for their time machine.
Neiman, you can't use her. Don't upset yourselves. Her genes are defective. So one way or the other, she has to be destroyed. Why not in the name of science?
The masters have decided her genes are defective because of this.
We're going with you.
No, you cannot. You are prisoners.
We like you. We don't want to see you hurt, so don't try to stop us. Come on, Tony.
No, you will be injured.
You didn't have to warn us. Why did you?
Because I like you.
That's right, she had an emotion, obviously defective.
After her. She must not get away.
Then again, so are they. They're back in their quarters, held there by the force field. They're trying to come up with a way to disable it. The girl had a key of some kind that let her go through it. They have an idea what principle the key uses, they just have to figure out how to build one.
Tony! Doug!
It's Ray. It couldn't have exploded yet.
Go ahead, we hear you.
We have you fixed in 1,000,000 AD. Is Neiman in your time period?
Yes.
They can tell the general what time the bomb is set to go off, but they still don't know where it is.
Can you get to Neiman?
No. We're locked in by a force field.
You've got to get out of that force field. Make him talk.
Thank you, General. Why didn't we think of that? The tunnel is building up power, and if they can get in the same room with Neiman, Anne says they can transfer all three of them. The only problem is she can't say where they'll end up. Tony says anywhere is better than here. Remember he said that. Using an empty pill case and some wire Doug found attached to one of the lights, they make a basic coil that should short out the magnetic field. Along with everything else on the block. Better get moving before the neighbors start asking questions.
What are you doing here? They'll catch you for sure.
You saved me. I have come to save you.
Where's Neiman? We're trying to find him.
Still in the teleport room. I can show you a way to reach it past the guards.
They hadn't been there for an hour before they corrupted somebody and made them question their whole world. Am I terrible if I find that funny? Their absence has been discovered. They confront Neiman while their friend sets a force field on the door so Neiman's guards can't get in.
No reaction.
Try it in series.
I guess they won't be exporting their glorious society after all, since he was the only one who knew how to do all this stuff. 3 weeks ago, we didn't have the power or the capability to transfer 3 people. We just transferred 5. The pattern is getting disheartening. Anne has only detected 4 of them so far.
I have an extra signal. 5 people were transferred.
Never mind. Where are they landing?
1 million BC, the Pliocene period.
Pleistocene, actually. The Pliocene period ended around 2.6 million years ago. 1 million years is the Pleistocene, more commonly known as the Ice Age. That doesn't look very icy. If they run into Imogene Coca, I quit. Neiman is realizing he lost his cushy job, so this might be a good time to make nice to Tony and Doug. Vokar and Worker Z are looking around at the plants and everything else and thinking, what is this stuff? Yeah, make it mad. Great idea. While he's finding new ways to be stupid, General Kirk is facing a bit of a mutiny.
All out! On the double!
The rest of the complex will be clear in 10 minutes, sir.
Good. That was an order. All personnel out. That means you.
I guess we're all waiting for you to leave, sir, and Dr. Swain and Dr. McGregor.
Doctors Swain and McGregor aren't going anywhere, even if the General tries to drag them out. And with good reason.
General, we're getting a location. Yes, for all 5 of them.
If they can find him, Neiman might be more inclined to reveal the location of the bomb now, since the time tunnel is his only hope of getting out of here. And one good thing is coming out of this little adventure. Doug finally decided to shed the suit and tie.
We better keep moving. We gotta find Neiman.
But he's carrying it all with him. Apparently, he's going to try and stay as dapper as he can in case Malore is nearby. Should have taken your chances with the dinosaur. Now Doug and Tony have double leverage over him. Tell them where the bomb is or you're stuck here and you drown in that stuff.
I'll tell you anything. Just get me out of there. Man, we're losing it. Give me your hand.
There's no time for this. Make him tell you first. No, they pull him out and he's ready to talk.
It's forbidden to speak except on command of the masters. You are all under arrest.
I think we've lost our last chance.
You've got to tell us.
Neiman, another word and you die.
He says, we're all going to the Masters, and starts off. I'm not sure where he thinks the Masters are or what makes him think he's going the right way, but he won't be dissuaded. 1,000,000 years of genetic engineering have brought him to this. He's decided that the spot where he landed is where the Masters will be. How he determined that is anybody's guess, but since he's got the gun, they don't have much choice. Somewhere along the way, they hook up with Z, and then they see this. I don't know how those effects were done, but they're amazing. No CGI, and if that's stop motion, it's the smoothest I've ever seen. Honestly, I could believe they put a bunch of prosthetics on a couple of monitor lizards and then let them have a fight. The footage is from the movie Lost World, which was made in 1960, which makes it all the more stunning. While they're watching that, Neiman runs off. Why is anybody's guess unless he's getting away from those dinosaurs? But there's no reason for that. They're focused on each other. And unless he wants to live out his days in dinosaur country, he'd better tell somebody where that bomb is. Vokar explains to him how to set the gun to kill. He says, "Go ahead, it's your right." He can't understand why Doug won't. Vokar is pretty sure he broke his leg, so in his society, he'd be left to die anyway. Doug says, "I don't operate like that."
Well, let's just say I don't like the idea of leaving you here to die.
What does it mean to like?
Ask Z. She can tell you in language you'll understand. After we find Neiman and deal with that bomb. His leg isn't actually broken, and after leaning on Doug for a while, he's able to walk again. Tony has caught up with Neiman. That place doesn't look promising. Doug, Vokar, and Z climb up to try and help pull them out.
Doug, get back! The ground's giving way!
No, you're supposed to pull up.
Giant beehive. Our city is patterned on the cells of these extinct insects.
Extinct.
They ain't extinct right now, dude, and they're coming your way. Now do you believe you're in a different time where your masters don't exist? The control room is locked onto them again. The general gets on the microphone and says, "We need that location. Now!"
Tell us where you put it!
Oh, for crying out loud, Vokar, have you not been paying attention?
Give him an answer. I like him.
Okay, maybe he has. I apologize, Vokar. Neiman fesses up and the general grabs the bomb out of the panel just in time. Just taking it out disarms it because it's an early version of USB. The bees are coming, so it's time to get them out of there. Our boys first, of course. You may have noticed that Vokar and Z have discovered each other. And wherever they're going, at least they'll be together. Now for Neiman.
You make a transfer for Neiman?
No.
Or not. We won't learn why, and we won't see what happens to him. I hope I don't need to mention that there were no giant bees a million years ago. So that means Neiman's time machine worked and Vokar's masters built that cell. They did try to export their glorious society to 1 million BC, whereupon dinosaurs ate them and the whole project was abandoned. True to form, the tunnel lands our heroes in the middle of a Civil War battle with bullets and shells flying everywhere. It really wants to kill them, and it's really bad at accomplishing it.
Fermo, Cesare, fermo.
There's a guy in a fancy cape walking a Great Dane and speaking Italian strolling through the middle of the battle. Isn't that always the way it goes? Doug drags him to cover behind that overturned wagon.
We need a doctor. He's beyond any hope this world can give him now. He's dead.
Tony's been dead before. As long as the shrapnel only hit him in the head, he'll be fine.